Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Newton. I practice homeopathy right here from my home in West Palm Beach, my home office. And today I'm going to be talking to you about some homeopathic remedies that I recommend to be used for the various emotions that are coming up during this pandemic and this quarantine time that we're under. So this is the 5th video in a series where I'm talking about different emotions. So let me tell you what I've talked about so far so that I'm going to try to link it up here or here. I can't remember where. I'm going to link the other videos. But so in the first video, I talked about homeopathic remedies for grief, because some of you may be experiencing some level of grief. You might miss your loved ones. You might be grieving over a job or some situation that has come to pass. Or is not working out because of this situation. You might have fear of what we're going to be losing in the future or how long we're going to be losing these things. You could even be grieving over money, although I'll get to that in a minute. So I went over some homeopathic remedies that can be used for grief. In the second video, I went over homeopathic remedies for isolation and loneliness. In the third video, the third video was homeopathic remedies for fear of contamination and germs and health. So that would be literally like fear of the virus itself, or for yourself or your children. In the fourth video, I went over homeopathic remedies for misfortune and financial loss and all of the, the anxiety that goes along with that. And then today, in today's video, this one, I think is the most interesting because, when your government is, establishing executive orders over an entire country, it's scary, the fear of instability. I mean, we're already seeing financial instability. Some of us are going out and buying guns because we fear, chaos on the streets, basically. Or we fear government takeover or whatever, so people have various fears that extend beyond money and health. So I'm going to get into homeopathic remedies for, the fear of, so basically the feeling of feeling helpless. So these are some of the rubrics that I put into my homeopathic software. This is my homeopathic software that I use often when I'm working with chronic cases. And I put in some of the feelings that we may be feeling. So one I put is feeling helpless. Another one I put is fear of authority. Another one I put is feeling oppressed and angry at injustice, or just feeling bad over watching certain injustices take place. Some of this is, the injustice of, I don't know, maybe hospitals not having enough equipment and feeling bad for the nurses, like, oh, it's such an injustice, or the patients who can't get their doctors to prescribe them, the meds that might help prevent death in this pandemic. And then there's the various conspiracy theories that seem to be popping up, and some of them seem to be appropriate to what could come to pass. And that can create a feeling of injustice in the world. So, we all may be feeling that a little bit, but when it gets to a point where it's creating anxiety and depression, that's not good. Let me make this video a little bit bigger so you guys can see me. So, sort of just a helpless feeling, an oppressed feeling, a sensation of an injustice is the homeopathic remedies I'm going to go over today. I'm also just going to talk to you guys about some books that I recommend. So one is The New Earth. I'm going to read a quote from this book. I'm going to read a quote from the Tao Te Ching and a quote from the Bible. And Deepak Chopra. He has a great quote that I go back to when I'm feeling helpless. I just go to that quote because I'm like, yes, that's the only thing that is going to help me get through this. And I'll get to that after I talk about the homeopathic remedies. So if you're not familiar with homeopathy, they often, and I'll link what is homeopathy up here. They come in little bottles like this. They're liquid remedies. You just take a couple drops. It usually is tasteless, although sometimes they'll put alcohol in here to preserve it, so it'll taste a little bit like alcohol. Or I don't know, sometimes they preserve it with other things, vinegar and stuff. Or it comes in little vials with white pellets in them. And these can be found at Whole Foods, natural health food stores, Amazon. I'm going to direct you, I'm going to have links below to the remedies that I'm talking about today, to Amazon. But you can also order them locally or get them locally and things like that. So now, some of the remedies that came up when I put those symptoms in of helplessness, fear of authority, feeling of being oppressed, feeling of injustice or whatever, or, you know, angry at injustice. Normally what I'll do is I'll look at like the top 5 remedies that come up when I'm working a case. Sometimes like I'll look at the top 10 because, you know, sometimes the remedies don't come up in the way you would think. But so I'm going to be looking at some of these for you guys, but not all of them are available to people in the United States and some other countries. So that in the United States, only certain remedies are FDA, I don't know if the term is FDA approved, but, you know, are approved to be sold over the counter or sold in America. So, you know, I'll read some of them that are not sold in America because I know I probably have international, I know I have clients overseas. So I know that there are people who have access to more remedies than we do in America. And you do have more access to remedies in America if you're established with a homeopath, because there are homeopathic pharmacies that will sell to people who have a homeopath if you put the homeopath's name in. So, all right, so phosphorus is a remedy that I already went over in another video. I think it was the one about loneliness. So I will just quickly go over that one. Phosphorus is a mineral remedy, and so I'm going to read. So I'm reading from the Materia Medica. Materia Medica is just basically a list of symptoms or behaviors or features that the remedy can help with. And I'm just going to read the mind section. So basically the mental and emotional features that this remedy has shown to help with before. Mentally and emotionally sensitive. I'm not going to read the whole thing because not all of this will pertain to what we're talking about today. Oversensitive to external impressions and noises and odors and lights. So somebody that's sensitive, you know, to their environment. Excitable, impressionable. This, I think, impressionable, I think of like when you're watching the news and you're believing everything they say, and they're really hyping up the fear and the emotion. You know, they've even got like video footage from Italy and pretending like it's in America, you know, to like create more fear. And I think they have like crisis actors. I think one of the news networks put a nurse on there who was sobbing about losing her job. And it turns out not losing her job, leaving her job because nobody was wearing masks, and that turned out to be completely false. So, you know, somebody who's very impressionable to those things and gets excitable over those things. Quickly prostrated by unpleasant impressions. Prostrated meaning like kind of worn out. Great tendency to be startled from noises. Let's see. Sensitive to bad news and horror stories. Sympathetic to others. Now, you may be thinking like, well, what's wrong with being sympathetic to others? Well, there's nothing wrong with that, and we should all have that. And if we didn't, we'd all be coined as psychopaths, right? Or sociopaths. And but when sympathy for others goes overboard, it creates disease in you, whether it be anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, whatever. We have to be able to rebalance after we experience sense of sympathy, you know, because you can't live in everybody's experience all the time. You just wouldn't be able to function within your own purpose. So it's not like if you take this remedy, it's going to make you not sympathetic or lack empathy. It's just that it's going to help you balance yourself and put things into perspective better and be more able to help the people around you because of that. sensitive to others' pain and suffering, nervous and restless in crowds, anxious, restless, fidgety, can't stand still or stand for a moment, anxiety for others, about friends at home, anxiety during thunderstorms, okay. Frightened easily, better for weeping, that means they feel better after they cry. Fear arising from stomach, fear of being alone and of death, fear of the dark, ghosts and monsters, that's, maybe that's some of that is for kids. Fear something bad will happen. I'm sure we all have that right now when thinking of disagreeable things. Fear about the future, fear of insanity. I know that there were moments, fear of insanity sounds a little extreme, but there have been moments where I was like, this is really affecting my mental health. I was afraid like, oh, where's my mental health going with this? Luckily, I'm able to just go right into my closet and grab whatever homeopathic remedies I need to rebalance myself. And that really has helped me to just stay, balanced, I guess. But, we can all experience fear of insanity when we're being pushed the way we are. Lacks willpower to undertake anything. Can't keep mind on any subject. Some of this might be good for, your homeschooling kids, lacking willpower. What else? Apathy and unwilling to talk. Indifferent. Let's see. Melancholy, disinclined to work or study or converse. Sadness, lowness of spirits, depression arising from the belief that he has an incurable disease, weary of life, prostration of mind from trifles, weeping, wants sympathy, better from company and consolation, weeping alternating with attacks of involuntary laughter, laughs at serious things, laughing when sad. Okay, so I've gone into a lot here. So if any of this, a lot of these remedies have overlapping features, and you might find like, oh, I could take almost any one of these remedies. It wouldn't hurt to try one of them, just pick one and see. Now I'm going to show you guys that you can get this one. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I will have the links below, but here's Phosphorus. You can get it right on Amazon. I'd suggest starting with any of these remedies. I would suggest starting with a 30C, unless you're somebody, there it is, Phosphorus, 30C. Unless you're someone who has taken a lot of homeopathic remedies before, then it wouldn't hurt for you to take a 200C. But I would start with 30C if you don't have any, even if you do have experience with remedies, you could take a 30C once a day for a week and see how that does. You don't want to continue it for a long period of time unless you have a homeopath guiding you to do so. I would say if you're taking like a 200C potency, and by the way, on Amazon, they usually say 200CK right here, 200CK, either one, 200C or 200CK is fine. If you're taking a 200C, maybe once a week, twice a week. If you're taking a 30C, I would say every day until you're feeling better and then stop. And really, homeopathic remedies are only supposed to be used as needed. So if you take a remedy and you're feeling great for a few days, don't take it again until you feel like you need another dose. That's really the best way to take homeopathic remedies, or you can find that the benefit can actually start to reverse and cause problems. So, all right, that's Phosphorus. The next remedy we'll talk about, Staphysagria, we'll do that one next. This is a plant remedy. And I'm going to look at the mind features of this remedy. Staphysagria, I use this one a lot in my practice. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to read just some things that make sense according to our current situation with the pandemic. Great indignation about the things done by others or by himself. Grieves about the consequences. Humiliation, deep guilt, and shame. I mean, some of this is not going to pertain because believes he will lose his fortune, his wife, or that his wife will leave him. Some of the language is a little funny, but some of us are afraid of losing our fortune, right? Sadness without any cause, with irritability, wanting self-control, hypochondriacal. So like if, somebody who's like, oh, I have this symptom, oh, I must have this disease, a little bit of a hypochondriac. Outbursts of passion, always angry, gloomy and petulant, throws things, peevish. Rape or sexual abuse. I'm just throwing that one in there. I mean, this has nothing to do with the pandemic, but it is like a key feature of this remedy. Somebody who has history of rape or sexual abuse. Okay. Irritable, nervous, excitable, and violent. Doesn't mean you have to be violent. If you just have irritability and nervousness, this remedy can help. Morbidly sensitive. The least word that seems wrong hurts her very much. Very sensitive as to what others say about her. Imagines insults. Sensitive to odor, noise, and touch. Just a lot of history about physical and sexual and verbal abuse here. Ailments from shame, punishment, and suppressed anger. So I bring up suppressed anger here because that's another key feature. And if you are walking around suppressing your anger about the situation, which we sort of all have to do, because what are you going to do? Yell at your own family over the situation? If you feel like you're suppressing your anger and there's just anger inside, that this can help the effects that it might be causing on your health. Let's see. Fear of being punished, abandoned, hurt, failing, of not being good enough. Overly nice and timid, passive. Pathological desire to please, but anger underneath. I think that's almost a societal thing sometimes, especially with women, right? Let's see. Feels defenseless, feels guilty, feels trapped. Self-pity and resignation. Easily hurt. Speechless when angry. So, think of, I'm going to stop there. Think of, suppressed anger, things like that with this one. And, being sensitive. Okay, so that's Staphysagria. And I think that you get this one on Amazon. I didn't check yet. Staphysagria. Yeah, it comes up right away. There's a 30C. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they have 200C. Let me take a look at that real quick. Or 200CK, they seem to call it. Oh, here's 1M. So 1M potency is higher than 200C. So it goes 30C, 200C, 1M is the next highest potency. And some pharmacies have intermediate potencies, but Amazon's probably not going to have that. So this is the 1M potency, and that I wouldn't recommend doing that without a homeopath. Even when I'm giving 1M potency to my clients, I have them only take like 1 dose, and then we need to communicate, or 1 or 2 doses, 3 at the most, and then we need to communicate. I don't just put them on a schedule and say, see you later. So here it is. Here's 200C, Staphysagria, 200C, okay? All right. So that, we just went over Staphysagria, and what was the other one? I have to write this down so I remember. Phosphorus and Staphysagria. Okay. I think, okay, so another one that if you're overseas, or if you are in America and have a homeopath, Syphilinum is a good remedy for those feelings. Colosynthus, I don't know if I want to go over that one. Let me see if they have that one. I might want to do Nux vomica just because it has like a broader action. Okay, they do have colosynthus here. Maybe we'll do both. I feel like I want to do Nux vomica and sulfur. Okay, so Nux vomica. This one is really great as an aside for hangovers, for, you know, also liver, like if you feel like your liver is in stagnation, that kind of thing. Nux vomica is good. So, you know, if you have a hangover, indigestion, liver disorders, nausea, things like that, this remedy can be of great help. So let's talk about the mind features. Overactive mind, very irritable, sensitive to all impressions, cannot bear noises, odor, and light. Every harmless word offends. Anxious and beside himself, cannot stand pain. Okay. Loses connection of ideas, thinks she will lose her reason. Concentration is difficult while calculating, easily makes mistakes. Okay, wants to be quiet, desires tranquility. Despondency, alternating with buoyancy. Averse to work, time passes too slowly. Headstrong, self-willed. Fiery temperament, angry and impatient. I think that is probably the key feature of Nux vomica, angry and impatient. And it's sort of known as the remedy for businessmen. But I've taken it many times and it's helped me. I actually keep it in my car for motion sickness too, because my younger son sits in the back and he gets motion sick once in a while, and he actually has the vial with him in the back seat so he can grab it, and it works almost every single time. But angry and impatient, you know, somebody who's just sort of like overworked, over everything, over drugged, over alcohol, overeating, even like overindulgence. But, you know, especially like working hard and then they're just angry and impatient, easily offended, resist the wishes of others, can't bear conversation, quarrelsome if disturbed. They may scold you, insult you. They're jealous, angry when consoled, fault-finding, can't endure slightest contradiction, impatient when spoken to, gets angry and violent without any provocation, spiteful. You don't have to be violent for this remedy to work. Again, some of these are the more extreme features that it can help. Cursing, ugly, malicious, violent and abusive, disposition to slander. Workaholics, anxiety about business affairs, ambitious and competitive, obsessive and compulsive behavior, fastidious, alcoholism, drug addiction. Okay, so that's good. I mean, you know, this situation might be driving some people to alcoholism, drugs, things like that. If you're drinking too much alcohol, if you're drinking any alcohol, honestly, this would be a good remedy to take. It just supports the liver, really. So keep this one in mind. I think this is a great one. And then, what was the other one I was going to do? No, sulfur. So Nux vomica and sulfur. This is another remedy that has a lot of uses. It's prescribed by homeopaths widely for a lot of different things. I've taken it. I've taken a lot of remedies, almost all of these that I've talked about, probably every single remedy in this series. Okay, so let's talk about the mind features of sulfur. This is a mineral remedy. Absent-minded, dullness of mind. You know, let me just talk about the themes of this remedy before I get into all this. So sulfur some of the key features of sulfur would be, and you don't have to have all these, but somebody who collects things, somebody who hoards, somebody who gets like ideas and they almost get like obsessively into it, like, oh, I have this idea and I have to put this into work, you know, I have to like do this. And then they'll like stay up all night, but then they might not have the ambition to follow through on the idea. So it's like somebody who's always full of really great ideas. Now, a person who tends to be the sulfur type and is more balanced, they will have these ideas, but they'll be able to know like when to calm it down, how to put it in action, things like that. A sulfur type tends to, they might have like redness, red skin, like hot. They might feel hot. And in their mind, they're hot, fiery, you know, like that. So that's sort of the theme of sulfur. Okay, so let me look at some of the things. So difficulty thinking, forgetful, weak memory. You won't always have that when you're in a sulfur state. Scatterbrained, burned out, awkwardness at his work, aversion to do mental or physical work, bored easily, lazy. Lazy is a big feature of sulfur, especially, you know, when they're not in a balanced sulfur state. Lazy, hungry and always tired, averse to business or busy all the time, workaholics, ambitious, aggressive, similar to nux vomica. Often irritable, depressed, irritated by the least advice, dislikes having anyone near him, quarrelsome and impatient, nothing pleases, impatient, censorious, critical. Some of these features are funny. Despises literary people and education. Angry over his mistakes, alcoholism, melancholy, sadness from injuries of the head, tired of life, worried by trifles, anxiety about others. Imagination leads them to worry. Anxiety from pressure on the chest, anxiety about friends, fear of failure. This is big. Fear of failure, poverty and starving. Moaning and complaining. Anxiety with an overactive mind preventing sleep. Restlessness, persistent thoughts. Absorbed in thought, obsessive, curious, intellectual. Haughty, egotistical and obstinate, very selfish. Indifference to the welfare of others. Delusions of grandeur. So again, it's like that overactive imagination, like, oh, I have this grand idea, you know. Foolish happiness and pride. Imagines himself a great person. Fear of not being recognized. All right. Indifference to personal appearance. That's the other thing. They can tend to be a little bit sloppy. Monomania. That means like being sort of obsessed about one topic. Philosophical or religious. They can be very philosophical or religious with very fixed ideas, which, you know, you can really theorize about the things that are going on right now. Philosophical mania. Racks his brain about metaphysical subtleties. Philosophers. Religious melancholy. Senile dementia. Okay, so hopefully some of that helped you to know whether or not you may benefit from sulfur at this time. I'm not going to look this one up on Amazon because sulfur is spelled, you know, S-U-L-P-H-U-R, and I'm pretty sure that you can get that on Amazon. All right, so we went over 4. I'm not going to go over this one, but calc carb comes next, calcarea carbonica. I did go over that one in at least 2 of the other videos. That's a great one. And then the next one in here is nicolum. which I don't know. I don't think you can get that on Amazon, but you can get calcarea. So, all right, so let me open up the screen here. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is just talk to you guys about, some of this stuff, because, we all understand the fear of germs. We all understand the fear of losing our money and things like that, but it's a little more complicated when it comes to like fear of what's going on in the world and what's to come and what is life going to be like and things like that, that ultimately, hold on one second. Ultimately, I have a feeling that more and more people are going to experience these fears, especially as they start talking about like mass testing and mass tracking and mass vaccination. And some of you may feel comfortable with that and want that. Other people are like, whoa, you're impinging on my freedoms. No way. This is scary. Where is this going? Oh my God, Nazi Germany. Like, it's easy for our minds to go there. I mean, I think anytime our freedoms are impinged upon, we see like Auschwitz, we see the concentration camps, at least I do. And so some of the things I want to quote now is just to help you stay in the moment, okay? Help you stay in the moment. All right, so the first I'm going to quote is, actually I'm going to share my screen for this because I have this pulled up. A Bible verse, Philippians, I gotta find it. Oh goodness. Okay. Bible verse, Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. So basically, gratitude and prayer, with thanksgiving. Do not be anxious, present your requests to God. So you're praying, you're giving thanks for what we do have, because we still do have a lot. And you're asking God for, either to resolve the situation, to give you your money back, to protect your health. And, the way I pray is, God, if you can't grant me these things because of whatever divine path I'm on here, please give me the peace and perspective I need to accept it, find peace with it, be okay with it. That's the way I pray because, how many times have you prayed for something and it didn't happen, and then you look back and you're like, oh, thank God that thing didn't happen. We don't know where this is going. We don't know if things are being shaken up in the world so that things can be better after. So, I think understanding that our requests may not be granted, but that we can find peace anyway, and asking for that peace. What do they say? The peace that surpasses all understanding. I don't know what Bible verse that is, but that's in the Bible. And I have definitely experienced that before in moments of absolute crisis. I have asked God for the peace, and I literally just felt it descending upon me. And it to the point where I remember just one story. When my son was born, he went into the NICU immediately. He was blue. They were having a lot of trouble oxygenating him, and I was coming out of anesthesia because I don't know. I was just really foggy. I had done a C-section. And I remember the nurse practitioner coming to my bed to talk to me about my son's condition. And my husband was there. And I looked at her and I said, is he going to make it? That's all I wanted to know, because I couldn't understand all the things she was saying. I'm like, okay, all I want to know is he going to make it? Because I don't understand. I'm too foggy. And I said, is he going to make it? And she looked at me and she said, we don't know. And I freaked out. My throat started closing up like it is right now, going back into that memory. And I was like, oh my God, this is too big. This is too big. I can't take that. And my husband was standing there like with big eyes, like, oh my God. I don't think either of us expected her to say, we don't know. And I thought, oh my God, like I could be faced with the death of my child here. This is horrific. And I prayed in that moment. I'm like, God, help me. just help me get through this. Please help me get through this. And I even remember bargaining with God. I was like, I will never complain ever again about being a mom, anything pertaining to being a mom. I will never again complain. And literally, not because I said that, but literally because I was asking for help, I literally felt this peace come over me, like a knowing that it's going to be okay. And that's probably because it was going to be okay. But even if it weren't going to be okay, I really believe I still would have had that peace come over me. And it was so stark, the peace in my soul. I literally went on with my day in my hospital room by myself, like pumping breast milk and stuff, as if nothing was happening. I didn't have my baby with me. I hadn't seen it since the moment it was taken out of my abdomen and my uterus. And I felt no emotion. I was happy and content. It was bizarre. My husband, it was so bizarre that my husband looked at me a couple hours into it and he goes, "Don't you want to see the baby?" Like he was looking at me like I was crazy. Like something is not right with her. She must be heavily medicated. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, it was really, I even was like, what is going on with me? Like, I am so fine with this situation. It was prayer, I'm telling you right now, because I've experienced that in other moments where I was in a totally panicked situation. And I just got that, like, it's going to be okay, a knowing, it's going to be okay. And here's peace above this horrific situation. So, but you have to ask. It doesn't just happen for me. I have to ask. Okay, so, and I wanted to talk about the Deepak Chopra quote here, because some people call prayer, well, there's a saying that, let me stop sharing the screen. There's a saying that prayer, when you're praying, you're talking to God. When you're meditating, you're receiving from God, like you're listening to God. So this is a Deepak Chopra, I think, recommended, I don't know, using this to think of meditation, like sit with the questions. So his quote is, sit with the questions and the answers will come. Sometimes we're faced with a situation where we're like, I don't know what to do. What should I do in this situation? What job should I take? What should I have a kid? Should I move from this house? Should I stay with this spouse or leave and get a divorce? Or just, questions about what's going to happen, So sit with the questions and the answers will come. The point of this quote is we don't have to have the answers right now. We don't. You can sit with it, have faith that the answer is going to come in the right time. Just sit with the questions. Like, don't let the questions plague your mind, I think is where that's going. Just sit with them. Okay, they're here. They're here. The answers aren't here, but the questions are here. And just, I'm going to sit with it. And so I think of meditation when I think of that. We're sitting with the questions. And sometimes answers will come in meditation. So keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to read a couple of quotes from the Tao Te Ching. I will link to Amazon or somewhere where you can find this book, Tao Te Ching. So this is written by Stephen Mitchell. I think he basically interprets the passages. I don't know much about the Tao Te Ching. I don't think it's a religion. It's just really, it has passages that describe the way that we should be, just the way we should be in the world. So I'm going to read, this is passage 44 in this book. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just parts that I think pertain to our situation. Actually, I will read the whole thing. Fame or integrity, which is more important? Money or happiness, which is more valuable? Success or failure, which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. So the way I interpret this is in those moments where you're like, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough love, whatever. A lot of us are lacking in one or all of those. And, just realizing like, okay, in this moment, do I really need anything in this moment? Like, it's all okay, be in the moment. Don't think outside of the moment, and you will realize nothing is lacking. The whole world belongs to you if you realize that. So that's the point there. And then I'm going to read number 67, if I can find it. 67. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to read the second half of this one. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, and compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and in thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies. Think social media, right? So much going on there with like infighting. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate toward yourself, you reconcile all things in the world. So compassionate toward yourself and toward others. I've had to learn a lot of that in the past few weeks because, some people are getting very, very panicky about the virus itself. And it just started annoying me for various reasons. But then I had to realize that, everybody has their past history and their past story. So some people might have been traumatized by an infection or a hospital stay or a death scare or whatever. I've been there with my own kids. And that might be the framework through which they're viewing these events and like, oh my God, I can't go through this again. I can't be faced with another illness, a debilitating illness that might take my life or my family's life. Other people might have financial problems and now all of a sudden it's tripled and they don't even know if they're going to survive. And, others might have come from other countries, other dictatorships, and now they're in the free world and now all of a sudden they're not free anymore, So people have different frameworks, different experiences, different traumas in their life that are making them hyper react to certain aspects of this quarantine. So have compassion, with your enemies. And I mean, not that they are our enemies, but you know what I mean? All right, so now I'm going to read from, this is a book that really changed my life. And it's very like new agey, but it's not a religion. Again, this is just written by Eckhart Tolle. He's a very nice man. There's nothing like satanic about him or anything like that. Does it say Eckhart Tolle on here? Yeah, on the top. This is called A New Earth. I read his first book, The Power of Now? Where is it? I have it written down. I think it's called The Power of Now. It was really good. And I think I read it too soon in my life to be able to embody the message, which was basically the power of now, like be in the now. Don't fret about the future. Don't dwell on the past. The power of now, like what is now? Now I'm talking to you. Now you're listening to me. Now I'm drinking this water. So I drink tea all day long, and I really like get into the moment of my tea, even though I drink tea that I'm very like, I think I'm allergic to, and I can tell it's not good for me, and I need to stop doing that, but I'm addicted to tea. I go sit on the front porch and I have tea, or the back porch, or just in the other room where it's quiet, and I'm just drinking my tea, and this is my moment. This is my now. So A New Earth is sort of like that. It sort of is, I don't know, an advanced, to me, it seemed like the same book as The Power of Now. It's very, but different. But I think when I read this book, it was in a moment when I was ready for it and ready to embody it. Like, in other words, had the ability to embody it. I had already taken a lot of homeopathic remedies. I had gotten on top of a lot of anxiety and depression. So I was no longer debilitated by those things. And I just was ready to learn how to be in the world. And this really helped me. And so a lot of it is just being in the now, really. I mean, that's the overall message of this book, but there's a lot more to take in. So this, I'm going to read a passage from page 198. I just sort of opened the book and went to that page, and I was like, okay, this looks good. Okay, so 198. This is quoting Krishnamurti. He's an Indian philosopher and spiritual teacher. So he's talking about a time he was talking to people, a group of people, and he said, "Do you want to know my secret? This is my secret," he said. "I don't mind what happens. When I don't mind," now this is, I think, Eckhart Tolle talking now. "When I don't mind what happens, what does that imply? It implies that internally I am in alignment with what happens. What happens, of course, refers to the suchness of the moment, which always already is as it is." So you're hearing moment is, right? It refers to content, the form that this moment takes. This is the only moment. To be in alignment with what is means to be in a relationship of inner non-resistance. I'm wearing different glasses. It's not my reading glasses. To be in a relationship of inner non-resistance with what happens. It means not to label it mentally as good or bad, but to let it be. Does this mean you can no longer take action or bring about change in your life? On the contrary, when the basis for your actions is inner alignment with the present moment, your actions become empowered by the intelligence of life itself. So the way I interpret that is when you're acting from a place of being centered and aligned and okay with what is, you're more empowered. Okay, so you're going to go out into the world from a more centered place. You're more empowered. You're probably going to be more effective at creating whatever change is within our control. And not all change is within our control. I can't go to the beach right now. And that was one of the hardest things. That's almost harder than watching my IRA drop, okay? Honestly, I love the beach. It's my place to go when I feel like I have to get away from it all. It's like a mini vacation for me. Just to go walk there, go stand in the ocean, be one with nature, the animals, etc. But I don't have control over that. And so, you know, for a couple days, I was fighting that in my mind. I was fighting it in my mind. I was like, no, this can't be. There has to be a place I can go to the beach. There has to be like a little remote spot somewhere I can go sneak on the beach. And then I realized, like, no, I've been kicked off the beach here in Palm Beach because I was there past 8 o'clock. Like, it's not happening. We're under lockdown. I will get arrested. I have children. I can't get arrested. I have clients who depend on me. I don't want a record, you know, have a bad record. So I had to stop bargaining and say, okay, I'm okay with what happens, you know, being okay with what happens, because the alternative is to just turn it over in your mind over and over again. If there's something that's out of your control, find something that you can control. Okay, so for me, that's maintaining my health, as hard as it is, because I want to sit around and snack, but making sure I'm making myself a healthy snack, cutting open an avocado instead of going for like a bag of chips, things like that, exercising, making these videos. I mean, taking a walk around the block. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Florida. Maybe I can show you guys. Let's see if this will turn on all the way. Oh, can you guys even, it's so bright out. You can't really see like how beautiful it is. But anyway, there's the rest of my messy office. It's so beautiful out today. I have the control to go take a walk, which I'm absolutely going to do. I've been sitting here watching people go by with their masks on. So focus on what you can control. You will be more centered for it. You will come out of this more centered and calm and healthy. So that's all I have, guys. Hopefully you were able to get something from this video. This was a long one. Wow, this is a really long one. And if you are interested in my services, you can look at the link below. I practice homeopathy. I can help people with some of these issues more long-term, uncovering deeper and deeper layers using higher higher potency and various remedies that you might not be able to have access to. Also, if you're interested in a free ebook on how to use homeopathy in your home for acute conditions such as colds and flus, see the link below for that. And that's about it. Good luck, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.